Hey, everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Christy Brower, here with my sister, co host, and partner in all things crime, Katie Weaver. Hey, Katie,
Hello.
how's it going?
Well, good. Now that our market is over,
Yeah.
we both
uh,
about killed ourselves last week being ready for the Yule market that we were doing yesterday. And I am fine. And I'm really glad we're doing one this season and that it's done. 'Cause I
Agreed.
don't know about you,
Agreed.
but I am worn out.
Yeah, me too. And I'm just ready to, I don't know, have a relaxing holiday season, holiday break.
There you
I
go.
don't know. Is it a break? Not really. Kind of, sort of.
Not really. But yeah, is it
I think of
relaxing?
it that way because I
Not at
still
my
think
house,
it
but
turns to school. But
right. Yeah.
so
But yeah,
anyway, yeah. This is
other than that,
our
I'm well.
Well, good. This is our Monday episode, and this is a Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow update. Now, I
Hmm.
do want to address because we get asked this all the time. Why do we call her Lori Vallow and not Lori Daybell? That's because Lori Vallow is her name. She
Hmm.
did get married. She did say her
She did.
intent was to change her name to Daybell, but she never actually did. And so the state of Idaho recognizes her as Lori Vallow, no matter how many times she has requested to be called Daybell, they don't. And in the court records, prison records, jail records, everything, she's
Hmm.
Vallow. So we
Hmm.
stick with Vallow because that is the accurate way to refer to her.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I just saw this question
This
again
is true.
in a Reddit group today, and I was like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
Let's just say it. So, Katie, I'm going to kick it right over to you with Lori's latest crazy ass mugshot from Arizona for an update in the Lori Vallow case.
Okay. Oh, this shrew right here. Okay, well, Lori did was finally arraigned on Thursday. We did live stream it, so if you hadn't had a chance to watch it, you can go back and see it. It's
Mhm.
brief, and they weren't allowed to film her face, so the camera angle's weird. And if you want to know why, that's why.
Yeah.
But it was it was fairly interesting. I mean, it was a quick trip to court. She looked very much like Lori looks in court. Her hair was
Mhm.
quite curly. She had real jailhouse blush and kind of a clown face of
Yeah,
blush. And
the jailhouse makeup was really on point this time.
it was pretty wild. Of course, now she's in the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office jail jammies.
Uh-huh.
She also had kind of like the Jesus sandals on her feet and jandals, I believe they're called,
Jandals.
and
Mhm.
wrists and ankles shackled. And so she appeared in front of the judge. The judge entered two not guilty pleas for her. That's how it is done there. She couldn't have pled guilty if she wanted to. This is just
Mhm.
a preliminary not guilty. They have all of their dates already laid out. Arizona, man, they're
Yeah, on
on
it.
this.
This was impressive.
Yep. So we had the initial appearance, of course, on the 30th of November, the arraignment last Thursday on the 7th, pretrial on January 18th, comprehensive pretrial on February 21st, uh, pre-trial for realties, they have three of those, on
Mhm.
the 28th of March, and then the trial on the 4th of April. So, first of all, that's really fast, and it's probably not going to be. They'll be moving these dates as they go. But they
Yeah.
had it all laid out. Now, a lot of us went, "What the? Would Lori be going to trial the same time Chad is? Holy!"
Oh my
I
god, please
mean,
no.
it could happen. It probably won't happen. The public defender has already said, "Oh, yeah, we're going to need to push this out. This is a super complicated case." And the judge
Yeah.
said, "Let's sit on that and we'll talk about it later."
Yeah, the judge was like, "Well, we'll see about that." The judge was not immediately like, "Okay, we'll fix it." No, it was,
Well, the
"We'll
reason
see."
why is because guess who has not waived her right to waived her right for a speedy trial.
Yeah.
And maybe she's not going to. In which case,
I
holy
mean,
shit.
I maybe we'll see how she settles in the, jail there.
Hmm.
How long does she wanna be there?
Right? She's out on a
Maybe
walkabout right
she's
now.
she's
So,
assessing the food and the company. I don't know. I just, you know.
well, when you're looking at being in prison for life, that's probably entirely true.
Yeah.
And Arizona are her digs, so I don't know. Maybe she'll.
I mean, it's winter, so she'd rather be there than here. She hates the cold.
Mhm. A lot of us have wondered why not just plead guilty? You're already in prison for life. Uh,
Right.
Lots of reasons, because you're Lori and you love the intention of going to trial because you want to piss Kay and Larry off some more, because you want to flirt with your attorneys and have that attention spread upon you. All of those reasons. Uh,
Mhm.
Also, because you still maybe think you have some snowball's chance in hell to appeal. You don't. But so lots of reasons why she might not plead guilty and get it over with. But then again, we shall see. Uh, the prosecutor had mentioned that there was one witness that was participating via Zoom. That was Brandon Boudreau. Woodcocks also had participated via Zoom. So they are being given the right to, of course, be there in some capacity or another.
What? Arizona has this shit figured out? Get a clue, Idaho.
Hmm. For sure. So, and that's pretty much it. She had some documents to sign and she was outie. So,
Mhm.
one thing we did learn this last week is who her public defender is in Arizona.
Mhm.
This is a man by the name of Keith Terry. I'll tell you a little bit about Keith. Keith is from Arizona. He went to Sedona High School, according to his LinkedIn. He studied justice studies, got his BS in justice studies at Arizona State. Then he went on to the University of Arizona, where he got his uh, Juris Doctorate in 2014. And then he worked for the Consino County Public Defender's Office. He worked at an immigration law clinic. Then he was a public defender some more. He was a law clerk, a federal public defender law clerk for the District of Arizona. And he's been a trial attorney for 9 years in Maricopa County,
Mm.
Arizona, and has been a public defender for at least part of that time. So that's what we know about Keith. There was also a woman that was on the other side of Lori in court, that is an additional public defender that must be working on her case. We don't know her name yet, but I was glad to see a woman.
She's a tough-looking chick too. She's
Hmm.
bald. From
Hmm.
behind, I thought she was a man until she turned,
Hmm.
and I was like, "Oh,
Oh, Lori.
she will not give a shit about the golden vagina. Not at
Mm-mm.
all." I was
No.
thrilled to see a woman working on her case. There might be
Hmm.
a little more of a reality check here.
We were hoping that all of her public defenders would be female. We feel
And
like
the
that would be
judge,
appropriate.
frankly, yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
I wish, but
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. It wasn't super exciting, but all of these things are important. And seeing that timeline of events laid out is pretty sobering, because if
mhm.
she decides to play this same card again and refuse to waive her right to a speedy trial, she actually could be going to trial the same time Chad is.
Oh my god. I don't
I don't,
even let's just not even no,
right?
no.
We
It
would
can't
have
be.
to, you'd have to take one and I'd have to take the other, and we'd just have to
Right. We would
meet
just
together every night for a live to sort it all out.
oh my god. Let's just please no, let that not be the case.
God, that
I
would be
know. They
hard.
don't care
Yeah.
about us little Idaho podcasters, but oh my god, having them both on trial at the same time in different states. Holy shit.
It's not just that though. It's the witnesses that would be called
Mhm.
from the public sector, but also from law enforcement that could
Right.
intersect. There's a lot of reasons why those trials should not happen at the same time.
And they probably won't. That's pretty
No.
problematic, and Chad's is pretty set, so I would
Hmm.
imagine they would push hers back a bit.
If anyone tries to move Chad's, everyone's heads will explode.
Oh my
You know,
god, right?
if Pryor comes back now and is like, "Oh, we need more time," I think the judge will literally just fall to the floor out of his chair.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. And speaking of Chad, here we go. Here's a pretty good shot of old resting Toadface
Mhm.
in a hearing of past. So week before last, we live streamed a 4-hour hearing where a bunch of things were addressed in Chad's trial, and the rulings are out in those. So let's talk about them. The first one, this cracks me up a lot. It's just the scheduling of it all. But if you recall, there were some scheduling snafus last time around
Mhm.
for when certain kinds of um, discovery were due. So I'm going to get to that in just a second. But there's a motion hearing on January 30th, pretrial on February 22nd, jury trial begins at the Ada County Courthouse on April 1st, scheduled through May 31st. Oh, please, God, let it not be that long. But that's kind of the timeline that we are on.
Yeah.
But I wanted to point out only because this was such a thing last time. So, discovery must be completed and served on or before 5 p.m. on February 1st, 2024. Remember last time it was everything was before the date? And
Mhm.
then the prosecutor's office thought it meant on or before and turned it all in at like 5 o'clock on the date.
Yeah.
Expert witness deadline. This was the big one that people were super mad about this one too.
Mhm.
Also on or before February 1st of
Mhm.
2024. So yes, they've clarified their language now that it is in fact on or before, not before. Because yeah, there was a big old everybody was pissed off about that situation, and that is actually part of what resulted in the death penalty being dropped in Lori's case.
Mhm.
Was some stuff being turned in late because the prosecutor's office got it wrong based on what the actual orders said.
Mhm.
Some other rulings that are out now. Not everything is out because
No.
the actual request to drop the death penalty has not been ruled on. There's
Right. And
one
there were
thing
two
that
different
hasn't.
filings.
Right. And so one of them is there. Well, yeah, that's right. There are two, and they have not been ruled on. But the
Mhm.
motion in limine that was the objection for, well, it was for the state to limit the state to consistent arguments on defendants' relative culpability. So this was who's the ringleader, who was the big cheese in charge.
Mhm.
The prosecution said it was Lori. They can't turn around and say it was Chad, blah, blah, blah. And that was hotly contested by the prosecution. And they said, we
Mhm.
never actually said those things. They were implied, but not directly stated. That was
Mhm.
denied with
Yeah.
no explanation whatsoever, which I thought was rather interesting.
Mhm. Were you surprised by that
So,
one?
not really. After listening to the state's objection, I
Mhm.
wasn't surprised by it because it's true that what the what the defense is saying is that the prosecution came right out and said those things. They really didn't. It was
Mhm.
that the case that they presented implied that Lori was the ringleader,
Mhm.
but they didn't make that as a direct statement.
Yeah. I was not surprised by the ruling. I'm with you after I heard the prosecution. When I first read the brief, I was like,
Hmm.
this is actually a pretty good argument. They might get this. This is a pretty good argument. But
Hmm.
failing to recognize that Pryor was just shooting from the hip or right around
Right.
the corner from there and claiming that
Yes. Yes, that.
from there that that Rob Wood said, and the whole hearing, if you guys remember, he kept saying, Rob Wood can't say, or Mr. Wood can't
Mr.
say
Wood.
this, and Mr. Wood can't say that. Never one time did he address Ms. Blake. Nope. It was
Right.
all Mr. Wood, Mr. Wood, Mr.
He
Wood.
was he's so disrespectful of Lindsay Blake. He's such a dick. But there was a
Hmm.
lot of like just right on the edge of eye rolling from the judge in all
Hmm.
of that coming from Pryor, and it didn't seem like the judge was buying it at all.
Yeah. Nope.
So that was denied. Then we had the motion to amend the indictment, and we know
Hmm.
this was the error that was made in the original indictment from the grand jury. It was amended right at the end of the prosecution's case in Lori's trial.
Mhm.
It's been everyone's pissed about it, but they most certainly can amend it and did.
Right.
And so it's really minor. It's just about the grand theft charges and how they were worded, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that was granted. So that's already been taken care of. So that won't need to be dealt with at trial, which is good because
Yeah,
everyone was furious over that before.
that started quite the fight. The law actually is that they can change that amendment, or they can amend that charge clear up into the time that the jury heads out to deliberate. So they
Right.
had every right to do it. It's just not done, you know?
Yeah. Usually they do
But
it beforehand like this. So
mhm,
they did. It's fixed. Whatever. I mean, they could
mhm.
just drop the grand theft charges. It doesn't even freaking matter. But
Right,
anyway,
no one cares. No one
I'm like,
cares about
these
that.
are triple murder charges. Who cares about that? So then we had the change of venue. So this was the state asking the judge to reconsider the change of venue. So they can't apply
Mhm,
for change of venue because that has already occurred. But
mhm,
what they could do is ask the judge to reconsider changing the venue from Ada County and moving the trial back to Fremont County. There's quite a there's quite an explanation in this one, although I'm not going to read it because it's kind of pointless. The bottom line is this: there are 2,000 qualified jurors in Fremont County.
mhm,
There are 300,000 qualified jurors in Ada County.
mhm.
For Lori's trial, they had to poll 1,800 jurors.
Yep.
That's almost every qualified juror in Fremont County, and that would include all of law enforcement and their families, any other witnesses from that
Mhm.
community, like the judge
The
himself,
victims,
you name it.
yeah, the victims' friends and families. I mean, it
Yeah, there's just no freaking way that the
mhm,
population is going to support that. So the judge denied that and is leaving the trial in Ada County, which we did
mhm.
not think that there was any way. Having
No.
been there, knowing Fremont County, living near it
Mhm,
all our lives, we were like, what would possibly be the benefit of returning the
yeah.
trial? And there was a lot of arguing, and there, Nate Eaton's name and East Idaho News got thrown around a whole lot, and Nate Eaton got thrown under the bus a bunch of times in this
Uh-huh.
argument, which I found interesting because, well, I don't know. I mean, East Idaho News obviously has covered this very heavily. Um, Pryor tried to say that East Idaho News just covers East Idaho, which isn't true. East Idaho News is now an internationally known news site thanks to this
Mhm,
case. So they covered it very heavily in Ada County. They've covered it very heavily in Fremont County. Like, it doesn't really
mhm.
matter. They're going
Yeah.
to cover it heavily wherever they are.
Mhm.
And, I mean, there's not going to be any more attention on this case during Chad's trial than there was during Lori's.
Right.
And it's still a much bigger population and much more likely to find those folks that
Mhm.
they will feel comfortable with on a jury
Yeah,
in Ada County simply by population.
for
So
sure.
the
It's
judge
just not
did
possible in Fremont.
no, the judge did a lot of defending of Fremont County and Fremont County law enforcement and the Fremont County courthouse,
Mhm,
because there was a lot of that came up that from the defense, and they're right. It's a tiny little place
mhm,
with practically zero amenities,
mhm.
with a tiny little courthouse that could not possibly
Oh,
support this trial. It
no.
is a challenge for Ada County, but you would die to see Fremont County, really.
Well,
There's
if you
no
remember, Lori's
way
sentencing was at
was in
Fremont
Fremont County.
County, and
Mhm.
practically no one was able to attend because it was
Yeah,
just
people camped out on the lawn overnight, which
mhm,
was so weird and gross. But anyway, it's just such a no-brainer that I still
mhm.
really question, why did the prosecution even ask for this? What was the reasoning behind this? Other than they don't have to travel, law
Mhm.
enforcement doesn't have to travel. Like, I mean, it's a big hardship for all of them to spend weeks and weeks 5 hours away, which I get. I
Well,
totally get.
yeah, and maybe they were just doing their due diligence, but we had been confused as to why they didn't argue to have it in Idaho Falls. If they had done that in Bonneville County and showed up with some solid numbers about the amount of qualified jurors in Bonneville County, maybe that would have been considered. Maybe it wouldn't have, but it
I
would have been a
mean, it's
much more feasible
better.
idea than Fremont.
It's certainly better, but the jury pool is still nowhere near as big in Bonneville County as it is
No,
in Ada.
no.
So anyway, trial is staying in Ada County, which
Hmm.
we're not surprised by that. I mean, we figured that was going
Yeah.
to be the case. The question of whether or not the death penalty stays on the table has not been ruled upon just yet.
No.
So we will report that to you when it is, but we'll see
Hmm.
what the judge is going to do. And, you know, the judge could withhold any judgment on this until the penalty phase of this trial, too. He doesn't actually have
Hmm.
to rule on it now. Because
No.
remember, this is a death penalty attached trial, which means there are
Hmm.
actually two trials, the guilt phase
Hmm.
and the penalty phase. And
Yep.
he could wait until the penalty phase to decide what
Hmm.
he's going to do with this request.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I was kind of surprised to see everything else roll out, but not those. But
Well, you know, that was one of the things that the prosecution brought up. Is this the right time? Should we even be
mhm,
talking about this yet?
they
Is
did.
this even
Yeah.
relevant? And, you know, I that discussion happened last time as well, and it was
Hmm.
relevant because of the problems with discovery. But in this case, is it really? I
Hmm.
mean, till we get to that point. So I don't know. I'm not sure if we'll actually see a ruling on it before then or not, or if this will actually
Yeah.
wait until the end of the trial,
Hmm.
of the guilt phase of the trial. So we shall see. But what we
Be
know
interesting.
is they're going to be moving old resting toad face to Ada County,
Hmm.
probably around the end of February or end of March. I mean,
End of March. Yep.
because
Yep.
the pretrial conference is actually scheduled for Fremont County. So they'll do that in Fremont County,
Hmm.
and then he will be transferred
Hmm.
to Ada, I'm assuming. And
With
you know, there was quite
Lori. Oh, go ahead.
oh, well, there was quite a bit in the scheduling around pretrial conference and the
Hmm.
potential for a deal, the
Uh
potential
huh.
for a plea, and how all of that
Yeah.
would work if that were to be the case.
Hmm.
Because, you know, we've heard definite rumblings that there's still hope for that.
Hmm.
We don't know because what we've heard is that the defense has been extremely unrealistic
Hmm.
about what they could get here. And I
Yeah.
think that it's pretty clear that the only thing the prosecution would be willing to do is take the death penalty off the table.
Hmm.
And where we haven't had a ruling on that as far as the judge, you know,
Hmm.
that still puts things pretty well up in the air.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure, it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
So
just
we'll
going to
keep an
say
eye
with
on things.
Lori, I think they moved her about 7 days before.
Yeah.
It'll be 7 to 10ish days there too, probably for Chad as well. But
Yep. Yep. So he'll spend most of his winter in Fremont County, which is even colder than where we are. So enjoy those cold in the middle hot pockets because they're probably really cold in the middle in the wintertime.
Chad, I hope your hot pockets are always either cold in the middle or absolute lava. Yeah.
Hmm. I don't know if he's eaten very many of them because every time we see him lately, he looks thinner.
Yeah, he
He does
does.
not look well. He's not looking well.
Mm-mm. He's pretty gray. He's real thin. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's what happens when you are accused of murdering three people.
Sucks to suck, I guess.
Yes, yes, it does. Well, that is our Monday episode. We will be back with lots more. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on right
Yeah,
now. We're
there
going to
is.
be bringing you some interesting cases this week. So keep an eye out for that. And you know it, we are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.